Have you ever set a goal only to find you can't make progress towards it? Maybe you've tried to get fitter, learn a new skill, start a business, but no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to make it stick. You are not alone. The truth is, most of us struggle with consistency, and it's one of the greatest barriers to achieving our dreams and goals. In this video, I'm going to talk about why consistency is the most powerful tool. You'll be equipped with the knowledge and the motivation to make consistency a daily habit in your life and to start crushing your goals and making strides towards your aspirations. We can find ourselves in a state of constant starting and stopping, which is frustrating and demotivating. We get discouraged, we lose momentum, and it can be very difficult to get back on track. Consistency is the key to creating momentum in your life. It's like pushing a snowball down a hill. At the top of the hill, the snowball is still small and requires a lot of effort to get moving. However, as it starts to roll down the hill, it gains momentum and begins to move faster and faster. The same principle applies to motivation and consistency. When you first start moving towards a goal, it can feel difficult and overwhelming. You might lack motivation or feel like you're not making progress. However, if you can push through these initial challenges and take small steps consistently towards your goal, you'll start to gain momentum. As you build that momentum, you'll find that it becomes easier to stay motivated. The progress you've made will give you a sense of accomplishment and confidence, which in turn will motivate you to keep going. This positive feedback loop can create a powerful sense of momentum to propel you towards your goal. Consistency is like compound interest, where the more you do something, the more momentum you gain. A great example of this is Jerry Seinfeld's story of Don't Break the Chain. When Seinfeld was still a struggling comedian, he wrote an X on his calendar every day that he created a new joke. His goal was simply not to break the chain of crosses on his calendar. Over time, he built up momentum and became one of the most successful comedians of today. He didn't have to write an entire hour of jokes every day. He just had to show up and do something. Just like that snowball running down the hill, the momentum you build through consistency can make you unstoppable. The key is to start small, stay consistent, and keep pushing forward. Tony Robbins says, "It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently." Consistency helps you to develop good habits. Habits are powerful because they require less effort and willpower than making conscious decisions. By consistently taking action towards your goals, you're creating habits that help you to stay on track. Imagine yourself building good habits as being like constructing a sturdy house, laying brick by brick until you have a solid foundation to stand on. I used to struggle with consistently getting to the gym, but now I have it set as an appointment in my calendar. I know at a specific time of the day, I need to change into my workout clothes. The routine is established, and before I have a chance to talk myself out of it, I'm already hitting the gym and smashing my goals. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, talks about habit stacking. Habit stacking involves adding a new habit to an existing one so that the existing habit triggers the new one automatically. This approach can be very effective because it uses the momentum and the consistency of an existing habit to help you to build a new one. For example, let's say your goal is to meditate for 5 minutes a day. You might find it difficult to do so or to fit it into your schedule. However, if you can attach your meditation habit to an existing one that you do every day, like brushing your teeth, you're more likely to do it consistently. Every time you finish brushing your teeth, you sit down and meditate for 5 minutes. Over time, this new habit becomes as automatic as brushing your teeth. By using habit stacking, you can create a chain reaction of good habits that help you to achieve your goals and dreams. When you're consistent, you're more likely to create good habits that stick. But how long does it take to form a habit? Neuroscience suggests that it can take anywhere from 21 days to several months to form a new habit. This depends on the complexity of the behavior as well as the individual's motivation and consistency levels. One study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology found that on average it can take up to 66 days to create a new habit. So while there may not be an exact time frame to forming a habit, by committing to perform a behavior consistently over time, you can increase your chances of creating a habit that naturally fits into your routine. Renowned scientist Dr. Caroline Leaf says this: "Small, steady steps lead to big changes over time. Consistency is key to rewiring your brain and changing your life." If you're enjoying this video, subscribe to my channel for more inspiration on becoming the best version of you that only you can be. Consistency is the key to overcoming the obstacles that stand in the way of your dreams. Success is barely ever a straight line. There will always be setbacks and challenges along the way. I remember the first time I hiked up Lion's Head here in Cape Town. All I could see was the next climb onto the level above me. I had no way of knowing how many climbs away I was from reaching the summit, although I knew reaching the top was inevitable. It was just a matter of time and effort. To keep going, I kept my focus on the next obstacle in front of me, and after quite a bunch more climbs, I finally reached the mountaintop. And what a spectacular view it was. Consistency helps you stay focused on the bigger picture, even when the path gets steep and rocky. Keep pushing forward, taking one step at a time. By taking consistent action towards your dreams, you develop the resilience and the determination to overcome and conquer any roadblocks. Building resilience is like strengthening the foundation of your consistency. The more resilient you are, the more likely you are to keep going, even when faced with challenges or setbacks. If you're learning a new skill and encounter a difficult challenge, consistent practice and perseverance will help you to overcome it. With playing keyboard in a band, there were some keys I used to battle playing naturally in. For example, if a song was in the key of E flat minor, I would typically just play it in the key of D minor and use the transpose button to get me into the key. However, by consistently practicing my E flat minor scale, I was able to become more comfortable playing it, and now it has become second nature to play in that key. I love this quote from Tate Adams: "Consistency is the quality that transforms mediocrity into excellence. It gives us the power to overcome obstacles and turn our dreams into reality." Consistency over intensity means that it's better to make consistent effort and make progress on our goals over time, rather than trying to do everything all at once with a high level of intensity. It's about making small, incremental changes that become habits and lead to lasting results, rather than trying to make drastic changes and huge leaps that are unsustainable. Here are some examples to illustrate consistency over intensity. In fitness, it's better to work out 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, than to work out once a week for 2 hours. Consistent exercise habits are more likely to stick. Studies also show that they lead to more long-term health benefits than sporadic, intense workouts. For learning a new skill, it's better to practice a little bit each day than to cram a lot of information into one day. For example, practicing a new language for 10 to 15 minutes a day is more effective than trying to practice several hours once a week. For work productivity, it's better to consistently work on a project for an hour a day than to try to do everything in one long, intense session. Breaking up the work into smaller, manageable tasks helps to avoid burnout and increases the likelihood of finishing the project successfully. In your diet, it's better to make small, consistent changes over time than to try and make drastic changes all at once. One change, like cutting out sugary drinks and replacing them with water, can lead to long-term improvements in your diet. This approach of consistency over intensity helps you to maintain balance and avoid exhaustion. You will stay motivated even when progress feels slow. John Maxwell says this: "Small disciplines, repeated with consistency every day, lead to great achievements gained slowly over time." Consistency over intensity is about sustaining long-term progress over short-term gains. It's like building a sustainable fire that burns steadily instead of a bonfire that burns out quickly. By focusing on consistent, incremental progress, you can achieve your goals more effectively and create lasting change in your life. Consistency is the cornerstone of accountability. When you're consistent in your effort towards your goals, you hold yourself accountable for your progress. This accountability makes it easier to stay on track and avoid excuses and distractions. It's like having a personal coach that keeps you honest and motivated. For example, if your goal is to save money, consistently tracking your expenses and your income will help you to stay accountable to your budget. When you're consistent, you'll be able to track your progress and see how far you've come. Think about the story of Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. Edison famously said, "I have not failed, I just found 10,000 ways that do not work." Edison was incredibly consistent in his experiments and he kept detailed notes of his progress. By doing so, he was able to see how far he'd come and make adjustments as needed. His story illustrates how consistency can help you keep track and make progress, even when things don't seem to go according to plan. Consistency is the key to achieving long-term success. Remember, consistency is not about being perfect or doing everything all at once. It's about showing up every day and doing the best you can, even if it's one small step forward. Success is not achieved overnight. It's the result of consistent effort and dedication over time. In order to stick with your commitment of consistent effort towards your dreams and your goals, it's imperative that you learn to set healthy boundaries and say no to things that do not align with your values and your priorities. Watch this video next to find out how to say no without guilt and to protect your consistency.